Okay, so I want to talk about being ADOS and nativehood. Now, when I say nativehood, I'm not saying that we originate from ancient American Indians. I'm saying this to push back against a narrative that contributes to the erasure of ADOS and other populations. It's this narrative that the US is a country of immigrants, which is only true to an extent. It does not apply to everyone, as ADOS are not immigrants. It would be ridiculous to say that ADOS are 16th generation immigrants. Our roots go back 400 years, which is about 16 generations. So at that point, that population, those people are not immigrants anymore. They are native. The issue is that the term native, we treat it as if it's reserved for people with American Indian ancestry when that shouldn't be the case. Native is a open, fluid concept. For example, if a population settled Antarctica and 200 years pass, they're native to Antarctica. If another population settled Antarctica and 200 years pass, both of those populations are native to Antarctica. If a third population came and joined those two populations and 200 years pass, all three populations are native to Antarctica because native basically means a long term inhabitant of a place. If you look in the dictionary under native, you're not going to see anything specifically about American Indians because it's just a concept. Yet that's how it's treated as if American Indians own own the concept. Where it's basically being there's this gatekeeping going on. And that stems from the term native becoming this title instead of being this descriptive term, which is how it should be used. Now, so native is this title that means I was here first and I deserve these different things. When that is increasingly, if not completely irrelevant, we are all citizens of this country, and being first is not it's not a strong basis for anything, especially in a fluid, active world. Basically, humans are Gaians, they travel and they can negotiate or fight for land. So the concept of being first doesn't even make sense. And in terms of like political injustices, that should just be taken up in court since we've lived in these civilizations where we have consensually agreed to have citizenship in. So native as a title shouldn't even be there's no utility in it anymore. Now, so when we're talking about native, now this doesn't mean I want to go around claiming that I'm native, asserting that I'm native, or that I'm demanding anything, any resources, or that type of thing. That's already designated as American Indian when we're talking about those things. This is talking about removing native as a title and back to a descriptive term. So when that concept is being discussed, we are included if we are going to continue using that concept. For example, there will be a YouTube video talking about Native Americans, and you click it, and it's only including people with American Indian genes, when it should include ADOS and other Native American populations. It's the same with indigenous. Native and indigenous basically mean the same thing, but if you click on these videos or these different discussions, or if we're talking about Indigenous Day, anytime we're engaging with that concept, we should also be included, not just because we are indigenous, because we are long-term inhabitants of this land and country, but also because indigenous is not a genetic population. If an American or if someone who identifies as indigenous American went to Europe, would they still be indigenous? Okay, well, we originate from indigenous Africans, and we call inhabitants of America or citizens of the US Americans, so we're also indigenous Americans. So basically, we should be calling ourselves just citizens first, but if we are going to talk about these concepts, we should be included.